Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my stocks journey. And I have two forecasts. I think there is a 90% probability Bitcoin peaks in 2022. And I think there is a 95% probability Bitcoin's peak price does not surpass $214,366 in the year 2022 or 2023. And I purposely try to use very precise numbers and precise language and give timelines to these forecasts because I don't want to be like 90% of the people that you see online or whatever giving your BS, predictions and always changing their mind, or like, they're wrong and then they say, "Oh, I knew it all along." These two forecasts that you could put on my head, and I will stick to these forecasts, and I'll probably change the probabilities as time goes on. And most of this is inspired by one of my favorite books, Super Forecasting, and a lot of the principles from this book is embedded within these forecasts and what I'm trying to do for the next year. So please read that book. It's super duper good. So why do I think that? Well, just a little bit of background. I have been saying since probably December of 2020 that I think that the cycles will extend past 2021 into 2022. And I am a big believer of Benjamin Cohen's diminishing returns and extended cycles. So the blue line is the Bitcoin cycle of 2012, 2013. Yellow line is Bitcoin cycle of 2016 and 2017. And they're both measured from the halving. So you get a good picture of the rate of return because, you see the nominal value of Bitcoin. So you can see, like a monkey could see a very clear pattern here is that the value of Bitcoin or the rate of return, the peak, it's lower and lower each time. So let's immediately off the bat, you can assume that we're not going to get anywhere close to around like 250K in this cycle. And you'll notice that the peaks take longer and longer to appear from the halvings. And so, if you just look at this peak, this is in October 18th, 2021. So to think that the peak will happen again in December, that's just quite ridiculous, to be honest. And so why do I think? So now you know the basics of my fundamentals. So why do I think 90% probability Bitcoin peaks in 2022? Well, first of all, why specifically 2022? If we look to our good friend here, Benjamin Cohen, he provides a really good graph showing the logarithmic chart of the entire crypto market cap, not just Bitcoin. And you'll see that we bounce up and down between the green dots over here for resistance and support, and those things usually mark the peak. And so obviously these are probabilities, and we are kind of guessing here because we don't really have, we can't really do any scientific experimentation. We can't copy and paste the world right now and give one a dependent variable, and we just can't do that. So this is obviously an educated guess, but his opinion is that we will see a $10 trillion market cap. And if you look at that using this green dotted line over here, that would mean, since this line represents 2022 and this line represents 2023, we would be hitting that somewhere between, June or, later Q3 of 2022. And, I also believe that. But more importantly, I have my own reasons, and it's because the cycles show. Okay, so let me just stop talking and show you guys. This is the first cycle peak that we could get, and this is the second cycle peak, June, November. So the difference was 2 years and around 5 months. And if we look from here to this peak, the difference is around 4 months, or 4 years and a month. So we went from 2.5 months kind of to around 2.5 years to around 4 years. And so it is a good guess that the next would take between 5 to 6 years. And if we do that, 5 years would be around here in December of 2022. No, so I'm not specifically saying it will happen at December, but I do think there's a good chance of this December happening or extending to even 2023. And that does align with Benjamin Cohen's idea of 2022 being the next cycle top. And also, as I said before, I'll be changing the probabilities based on the Pi cycle top indicator. And just a quick review, if you don't know what it is, it's this green line and this orange line. Whenever they cross, it's a pretty good idea. It gives a pretty good warning signal that the peak is in Bitcoin. So first one was not too accurate, but all the other ones were very accurate. So you see this dotted line over here, peaked, dotted line over here, it peaked, and dotted line over here, this is 2017, it peaked, and 2020 over here, this is why I sold back over here. Yeah, I forgot to tell you guys, but I sold over here at 58-ish thousand right before this cross happened, and that's how I managed to avoid all this crap, and I bought back down in the bottoms. So basically, I'm going to be using this tool, and when we start see how we're really wide, I'm going to have to wait till this gets closer and closer together, and then I could start, not sound too nerdy because I'm not really doing it, but like I'll be using this and this and this together to update this forecast. I'll probably update this many times from now, but for now it is at 90%, and I will be waiting for this to nearly cross before I get really sure in what I think is going to happen. So what do I think? Specifically, $214,366 will be the peak, or not the peak, but Bitcoin will not surpass that number. And because of this, so this is not confusing, I promise. The vertical lines are the Bitcoin halving dates, as you see here, and the horizontal lines are the peaks of the mid-cycle peaks and the actual cycle peaks. So this is the cycle peak, so I drew a line here. Over here is a mid-cycle peak, and so I drew a line there. This is the actual cycle peak, I drew a line there, and so on. So this is the mid-cycle peak for 2017. Drew a line for the cycle peak, and again, this is 2020's mid-cycle peak, and I drew a line again there. So that paints this picture. And the point is that the percentage differences between the previous line and the line we're in right now, that percentage is getting smaller and smaller. So between this line and this line, 344%. Between this line and this line, 322%, and so on, 291%, 228%, and then 233%. Well, this is actually my estimate. That didn't actually happen yet. So 228%. So the assumption here, and that's why this is just a guess, this is a probability that I assigned, and I'm pretty confident with it. But if this trend continues, as it always has been throughout the entire history of Bitcoin, then the next percentage difference cannot exceed 228%. And that is why 228%, it's different every time I measure it because the accuracy is a little bit off. But okay, fine. For this one, 212,621. If I measure again, it'll be different because TradingView is kind of off sometimes. But you get the general gist of the idea. I don't think I give a very high probability Bitcoin's next cycle peak price does not surpass $214,000 in the year 2022 or 2023. Basically trying to say this cycle because it has never done, the percentages has never increased ever in all of Bitcoin's history. And that is the thought process, and that is the, as close to hard evidence as I could get with doing as speculative as trying to guess asset prices. I mean, it's such a speculative thing to do. And so this is, I think, the closest I can get to giving, a good piece of evidence. Okay, so I clearly explained all my thoughts. I might sound like a madman because, Bitcoin right now is at $41,000. Sentiment is extremely bearish. People are giving you all kind of stories on why Bitcoin is down and what they think is going to happen. But at the end of the day, nobody knows anything, and they're just stories. People create such intricate stories of why Bitcoin is down, saying the Fed's raising rates, or inflation peaked, and then the markets are forward looking, so the markets are trying to discount lower inflation or something like that. But if they could so carefully and perfectly explain what's going on, How come they didn't talk about this weeks ago or months ago? If you so perfectly know exactly why Bitcoin is doing what it is doing right now, it just, they're just making stuff up. That's what human beings do, and that's what we're good at. We're good at making up stories. So I don't care what Bitcoin is doing right now. I don't care even to look at the stories or what the narratives are. All I know is that I have these two forecasts based on some evidence that I've just showed you right now. And even though Bitcoin is really, really down, like I'm saying that Bitcoin is about to peak and go to new all-time highs and that kind of stuff when we're down 3% for the day, right? So I am not trying to necessarily be a contrarian. I am trying to. This is a video I've been trying to make for a long time, and I'm trying to be as transparent and as honest and as evidence-based as possible, instead of just going with my emotions and making up stuff that's not even real. And that's all due to this book, which I am rereading, which is a tradition of mine in the beginning of every year. So that is the video I have for today. I don't know what Ethereum or all the other stuff we're going to do, because I honestly don't follow it too closely. But I do believe in these forecasts, and I will be updating these as to the extent of my abilities. So I hope the video was useful, and I hope you guys like. Please subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.